Hello teacups, what's brewing? Welcome back to the channel and it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for joining as always. Now I just want to warn you in advance, I am going to spend the first part of this video rambling about my job interview. So I will put a timestamp somewhere here so that if you're not here for that, fair enough, but I'm here for that because it's important to me. So I'm going to let you skip ahead should you so wish, no hard feelings at all. So I did tell you in my last video that I was going for a second interview with a school and I'd had a really positive first interview and it was great. And I was really fortunate that the second interview had very much the same energy. The interviewer was very easy to talk to. He was slightly more, I don't exactly want to say formulaic, but he had a more structured list of questions he wanted to ask. It was still a conversation, but clearly he has a list he goes through, just basic questions with teaching like, can you give me an example of a lesson that's really worked well for you and why you think it was successful? And then the opposite as well, you know, even the best teacher has a bad day. Can you tell me when you've had issues with lessons being effective and what you think has caused it? That kind of thing. Which was fine, absolutely great to go through. We had quite a fun conversation. I realise if you're not a teacher, it probably doesn't sound like a fun conversation at all, but just talking about formative versus summative assessment and the efficacy of both of them really. And he seems to have a very clear hatred of summative assessments, which I found quite funny. Just the way he was presenting it, because they're changing curriculum next year. And I was like, oh, does that mean you're bringing in this exam? And he was like, so long as I'm head of the school, no. And I was like, okay, fair. But the conversation itself about sort of how formative assessment can be used to sort of inform reflective teaching practices more easily and that kind of thing was a very interesting conversation for us. We're very much on the same wavelength, I think. I was a little bit nervous going into the second interview just because the first interview it's still kind of speculative. You're trying to feel each other out and just see if it's a possibility. But the second one, I'm talking with the head of my part of the school. It's someone I'm going to work with a little bit closer. There's more detailed questions about classroom practice, and you want to give your best face forward, you know? And there is a sense of, well, I got to second, so they at least half know they want to hire me or they wouldn't bother. But also now you need some good answers. I'm a quite experienced teacher. Like I have concrete examples to give in these situations, and I tell you, one of the most useful things I ever felt with interviewing was a couple of jobs ago. I was the head of a department and I actually was involved in the interview process on the other side, and that's made interviews so much easier for me moving forward. And it doesn't mean I don't have a bad interview every now and again, but in terms of my nerves, having been on the other side of things was so incredibly helpful, you know, because I know what I was looking for, and I knew not just what someone was bringing to a table, but people really like to sort of sprinkle in a lot of buzzwords when you're interviewing them, and you get a sense of this seems, no, all the right words, but quite vague. And one of my favorite questions to do in that situation, because I'm slightly, like, it's necessary, but I'm slightly evil, is just to ask, oh, you've said I remember once I had this guy go, he was like, I'm an avant-garde educator. And I was like, really? And I was like, okay, well, you have had some great ideas here. Could you please give me an example of an activity where that's been the case in your classroom? Can you give me an example of this in practice? And he just froze. And I wasn't expecting it to be that dramatic, but he just had nothing. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. But it means me as an interviewee, and it's pretty basic to come prepared with hard examples of what you're saying, but you'd be amazed how many people think they can just sort of bullshit their way through an interview. I'm all for selling yourself, but at some point there has to be substance. And I've always found it quite helpful. But anyway, not the point. They did offer me the job. I really appreciated that they weren't being too stone-faced about it. When they were happy, they responded, they nodded their head, they were saying, oh, good answer. You know, yeah, we believe this too because of these reasons. We really think that this carries over well, because I was talking about a certain skills transfer, because I'm coming in from a slightly different curriculum. So I don't have direct experience with what they're delivering, but there are a lot of things that would be very relevant to their curriculum, and they were very welcoming of that. So it was just a really nice conversation. I didn't have to feel worried. Do you know when you're like, thank you, and you just get nothing from them? Like, I felt comfortable, which was nice. And at the end, he was like, okay, well, after I finish talking here, I'm going to go over and speak to the principal, and we'll be in contact. So it seemed very positive before he turned off the camera. And then half an hour later, I got an email with a PDF saying salary and benefits for me to just look over, and an email saying, hey, we're happy to go ahead. We would like to contact your references now. Are you happy to go ahead? Here, I've attached a PDF with some basics in. However, please feel free to ask me any questions. And we went through a little bit of that. One of the benefits they say is, you know, if you do a lunch duty, we'll give you a free lunch at the canteen. However, you are welcome to have like breakfast and dinner there at cost, blah, blah. And I worked in China where I learned very quickly to ask questions about the things they don't say as much as the things they do. And because there's a number of schools in China, and some of them are great and some of them just try and pull the wool over you a little bit. And that's true worldwide, but you know, I happened to be in China when this was going on, and I just checked. I was like, can I just check there are definitely kitchen facilities in our living arrangements? And he was like, oh, no, there are. We're just saying this is also an option. It's like, oh, great, thank you. The salary benefits look totally in line with my expectations, which was great. I was prepared to have to be a little bit flexible with salary because I work in Saudi Arabia now, and there's a lot of money in the country and the salaries tend to be quite good. So I was expecting, even within the Middle East, I was expecting to maybe have to be slightly flexible with it moving into a new job. But with where my experience lies on the pay scale, I'm right on a borderline, so I don't know which way they're going to judge it, if they only count my experience from when I obtained my master's degree, or if they go slightly before that. But even on the lower end of those estimates, I'd be earning the same as I'm earning here, but there's a couple of expenses I wouldn't have there that I have here. And if I'm on the other side, I'd be earning slightly more. So that works out really well. I'm really excited about the opportunity. It looks like a lovely school, and it's so nice sometimes to start fresh. You know, I've been quite burnt out. I'm sure you've seen me as I've been talking about my current school. I'm feeling quite burnt out on it, and I'm excited to try something new. So that was 8 minutes and 20 seconds, whether it stays that much or not in the intro. That's why we gave you the timestamp. But I knew some of you would ask. A lot of you wished me good luck. Thank you so much. I'm really excited about moving forward with it. So yeah, great day. Okay, so speaking of busy and exciting changes, let's go talk about Chantal, shall we? Chantal had a busy day. Night, I'm not sure exactly how it worked out for her, but she decided she was going to try and be clever on Twitter, and in a way that didn't necessarily work out for her, but you know, shocker. So there was a case in YouTube of a bigger YouTuber registering a company, listing himself as an employee of the company, and then being online as part of the channel, even though we've been banned. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I only know the basics, but I'm sure you are. And so it was a loophole in how YouTube functioned, and if I understand correctly, that loophole has now been closed, but she doesn't seem to realize that. But the long and short of this is Foodie registered as a business to try and do the same thing. And she came up with a new channel called The Beezer Show. I say called The Beezer Show. It's currently now named The Beezer Show, and we will get into that. So I've got a few notes because I will lose track of everything. But the company started as Beezer Productions because she really thought she was doing things. She bought a cake. I'm back on YouTube, you know, and she registered the business under her name and address. And she's registered as a sole proprietor. So, you know, claiming to be an employee, you can employ people as a sole proprietor, but she's claiming to be an employee of herself in the business that is registered in her name. And, you know, I'm sure this is going to end well. It's going to be great. Don't worry. You got a plan. Stick with it. So she did that, hoping to get around this ban legally. Yeah. But she then posted on YouTube the link to her channel saying, "Proud business owner Beezer." I'll try and get screenshots of this to show you what I mean. So she did this with the contact information, with the head office, which was her home address that she just put out there. I know it's out there anyway, but she just did. And then she linked to the Beezer Show channel that she's got now. And in the description of the Beezer Show, it said, "This channel is not owned or operated by Foodie Beauty, though as an employee of the Beezer Show Limited is another thing we will discuss, she may appear in our videos." And I was like, what? No, not owned or operated in this picture where she's like, "Proud business owners." Oh, Foodie, you and your ninja-like shenanigans. Well done. Stealthy. Stealthy, no one will ever know. So, people reported her to YouTube. But what she hadn't actually done was check for any other companies operating under that name. And turns out there is a real Beezer Productions Limited in Ireland. They appear to be some kind of school uniform manufacturer, something along those lines. And so the owner, officer, whoever of the real Beezer Productions tweeted her and said, "I've had to report your account because you're claiming to be an employee of our business. Please retract that statement." The ridiculousness of just all of it. I'm assuming by account she meant Twitter, but the thing she quoted or replied to was a link to, I think it was the crowd class, the Patreon thing, potentially. I'm not sure which platform she was reported on, but I don't think she can afford to lose platforms here, so nice job. Oh my God. So then she goes through a few different name changes. At some point she was Beige Leg Productions, I think, and then she settled on the Beezer Show, right? To say I don't think she has considered what she's doing here is quite the understatement. First, the fact that she's put limited on the end of the name of the company. She doesn't seem to understand that that's an actual legal status in terms of the structure of a company and has legal and financial ramifications. Someone did tell me that limited companies don't exist in Canada and that you have to be a corporation, which takes months to set up. I don't think she thought that far. I don't think she put any more thought into this than she did about signing up to a social media or changing her name on there. She seems to equate them as equally important and equally impactful, which I think is a mistake, because if you register as a business owner, that's going to shine a bit of a light on your finances. Like, you are registering a business. If you are a sole proprietor, which there were different places you could see her company listing. She posted one. I can't remember the name of the Twitter handle of the person that posted the other, but in the second it did specify like sole proprietor and things and a bit more detail. And in terms of the taxes and the fact that she hasn't paid her taxes in a while, the fact that she doesn't have any discernible means with which to pay her taxes that I would consider secure at this point, personally, I wouldn't be kicking up so much of a fuss with the government. Now is not the time I would take to start registering businesses. and leaving paper trails here, there, and everywhere, because you're just drawing attention to yourself. And that, I think, is going to end in disaster, because there's absolutely no way beyond the, I'm going to win at the internet, that she has considered the ramifications of doing this at all. She didn't look up even the name. She didn't look up what it's going to mean for her as a person, the impact it's going to have on taxes if she's the owner and operator of the business versus if she's an employee. There are actual meaningful things attached to registering that with the government. And I doubt she's looked at any of them. I did a quick Google search on I think it was Canadian TurboTax, and got some details, and I rather shakily put them up on Twitter. But I was like, I'm sure you've considered this, right? Yeah. Oh, no, you're an employee of Two Beige Legs, which was the name of her company at that point. Oh, then I'm sure you have considered these pension payments and these declarations and these things. I'm sure she has. It's nothing to worry about. She is a proud business owner, Beaches. She has thought this through. She's a boss bitch. I shouldn't be concerned, but I can't help but wonder if perhaps she has not fully considered where this might lead. Yeah, I feel like the Canadian Revenue Agency might have a couple of red flags incoming, but we'll see. We'll see. In terms of her YouTube platform, I think this was a really poor choice. I get the desperation that may have caused her to do it. I get that if you haven't researched these things and people are telling you, oh no, this is a good idea, why you might cling to any hope you have, because she still hasn't heard back on her appeal. But if you're in YouTube and she does this, do you really think it's likely to help the appeal? Bear in mind, she's been terminated for nudity and sexual content. Yeah, that was the reason she was terminated. But when you're going through an appeals process, I'm assuming there are certain people at YouTube who are looking at your channel, considering the risks versus the revenue from ads and the impact it could have on their relationship with ad providers. And then also considering, is this likely to be a problem again? And then meanwhile, you have got her actively attempting to ban evade using a method that I don't think actually is feasible to work anymore, and showing a pretty big lack of understanding of that. So at best, she is still ignorant, and at worst, she is actively working against them. And based on the Twitter stuff and based on the other evidence and what she said, it is active evasion. To me, that would count against her in an appeal. I feel like it would. It's a bit like going to court and then lying about it. Now that doesn't seem like you've really truly learned your lesson there, does it? You know? And I realize it's not quite the same thing, but she's making some choices, and I think those choices are going to come back to bite her. I do think the reality of her channel potentially not being there is settling in harder and harder. I did mention that in my last react, I do believe. And she does make mention of it in one of her lives. She had one, what was it called? I'm feeling down, something like that. It was a live, just saying, covered it. It was a patron live, I do believe. But this has already been reported to YouTube. And again, I'll try and find the picture, but somebody reported her for ban evasion, and YouTube answered that Twitter thread and said, we are already aware of this channel and we will take action if, I believe they said we'll take action if it violates our terms. Something along those lines. But it means that Twitter is informed and aware. Yeah, how she thought people would not report this, I don't know. But then just having the legitimate business owner come in and be like, excuse me? Oh my goodness. But anyway, that's where that is. Something seems to have happened on another platform. I don't know if this is a reference to what happened on Twitter with the owner, or if something else happened on one of the other platforms, because I'm finding the platforms quite hard to keep up with. So I don't know if this is, I don't think it's an OnlyFans issue, but I don't know if this is a Twitch issue, a Patreon issue, or a Twitter issue. but she said she was mass reported and she got in trouble. She was on Crowdcast today because she fucked up and people took advantage and mass reported her. Like I said, I'm not sure which fuck up she's referring to here because at the moment there's a fair old pile. But if I had had my channel taken away for terms of service violation, I'd be really, really careful not to fuck up. I would be really careful. I knew those rules and I wasn't towing them even slightly. I was a good 6 feet away from them at all times. Borders around the room were going nowhere near them. They are electrified. Like, I wouldn't be risking a single thing. And once again, like, it doesn't matter if people report you if there's nothing to see. So the fact that she is confirming, well, I effed up, I don't know what the incident was, but if you know you're doing something you shouldn't do, why would you choose to push the envelope at this particular moment in time? That seems not well thought out at all. And it takes her into this whole mentality, which we know is false based on her past behavior of just laughing about it. But I don't want to strike back. And the fact is, she's not refusing to strike because she's a good person. She's refusing to strike because she has no basis to strike back and she knows it. And she knows that striking other channels just lights her own channel up a little bit brighter. And I don't think she wants that right now. All evidence to the contrary with the choice of business moves today. But I would say just do your best not to draw attention to yourself and stop making eye contact. But that doesn't seem to be where she is because she also needs to revive a platform somewhere to earn the money. And she does talk about the money a little bit. Do I have notes on that actually? Yes. She says, I'll take a pay cut for sure. I was making good money. And then she went, and now it's gone. And she really seemed to think about that for a second, you know? She said, what I'm left with now, I can live off of. It's an interesting thought because right now she's charging for multiple platforms. So I think what she's saying is, based on the numbers I have in this moment, I can survive. Yeah, which is good. It means she's not homeless on the streets. It means she's got something going on. She's having to work harder. And perhaps, you know, rightly so. Like, having to work for your money is not the end of the world. Yes, make a bit more effort with your channel. People have been leveling that on her, to her, for a while. At her. There we go. I know how to speak. I'm paid for this. But she is charging on multiple platforms right now. But she's assuming, I think, she's going to keep those numbers. And here's what I think is going to happen. If/when YouTube goes, nah, peace out, and she's not allowed to monetize another channel, she's not allowed to build an audience on that platform anymore, right? Then people are not going to maintain their memberships on different paid platforms. And she's not going to be able to maintain content of them. She likes the fact that behind the paywall on Patreon, she can do what she wants. She can, the example she used, she can talk about the fact that she's having trouble getting off THC. And she admitted that she'd taken 1,000 milligrams because she's eaten an entire wheelchair. Yeah, wheelchair gummy, not a physical thing, I assume. And yeah, she could talk a little bit more about NADA. But the thing is, with it being locked down, the audience is very, very small and promoting it is very difficult. In my opinion, she needs Twitch. Twitch is stricter on their TOS than YouTube, so she's going to struggle with it. But Twitch is the closest equivalent to YouTube, and she can have a public presence with the opportunity for pay. So I think the balance of audience versus income is going to be best on Twitch. However, something I didn't realize about Twitch when I was talking last video was that people were telling me that one of the terms of service of Twitch is that you may only stream on Twitch. If you're streaming, it must be exclusive to the platform if you want to get paid for it. This is still a really strange concept to me because I know for a fact, I watch, actually I won't name him in case he'll get in trouble, but I watch a gamer YouTuber who I know streams on both platforms, and now I'm wondering how. Because I've seen him get super chats on YouTube and I've seen him thank people for bits on Twitch. And I don't know how that works then. Because, I mean, when I saw him simultaneously streaming on both platforms, it was for charity. There might be exceptions to the rule there. But I know as an ongoing thing, he has streams on YouTube and he has streams on Twitch. So I don't understand entirely how that works or how that is working for him. But regardless, apparently the terms and service are exclusivity. So if she chooses to get monetized on Twitch, she can't stream on these other platforms. And I'm not sure she's ready to put the effort into creating pre-recorded content for any other platform. And we've seen her hustling now. She's having trouble keeping up with everything. She mentioned she was behind with the OnlyFans. And I think it's really going to be difficult for her moving forward, which means one platform means one paycheck. If she chooses to do Twitch, she's got more opportunity for growth. I think it's the best choice for her. But immediate income, I don't think she's going to be able to maintain memberships on paid platforms like Patreon and like OnlyFans for more than a month or two. I really don't, because people just get bored and be like, I can get this on Twitch. You're not giving us anything special. I can get this on Twitch. And they'll stop subscribing, because it is quite an expensive subscription when you compare what that money could pay for in other like professional subscriptions. If you compare things you might pay for example, I pay for a music streaming service. So when I compare the cost, do I want to pay for that or do I want to pay for Foodie? I don't want to pay for Foodie. I don't want to do that. But people are making that choice, and unless she's got something to keep reeling them in, they're going to deem it not worth it. So I don't think she can rely on that baseline income without making a lot more effort. Other than that, let me see, there was a bit of Nada talk. She seemed very confused. She had a lot of, oh no, I don't feel anything for him anymore. I'm disassociated, which seems to be her new word. And then on the other hand, she's near tears when she talks about him, about how she feels guilty and she doesn't want to put him behind bars or look over her shoulder her whole life. She doesn't want to live that life. That's as much as I'm willing to talk about the Nada stuff. I got nothing new for you until she updates us on what's happening with the case moving forward, which I'm sure she will. There's not a lot else to say. It'll be what it is. She doesn't have the option of pulling out of it, so we'll just have to see. I think there were two other things of note. One, she said she had traded in her Mac for a PC. I know she was planning on doing that. Not a PC, maybe a gaming PC, maybe a gaming laptop. I can't quite remember which. But she had traded it in for like an entry-level one because the game she wanted to stream, she couldn't because it wouldn't work on the Mac system. And she's decided that maybe she liked the Mac for what she was using it for, but it's maybe better just to get a Windows machine, which is up to her. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the other one. Apparently, she is talking to a new guy who wants to do porn with her on OnlyFans. And I'm like, you're talking to a guy that you haven't met who's gone straight to let's make porn together? Right. She seems at least uncertain about whether she wants to take that step, which I'm like, yeah, please think about that, because I would have questions over someone who would offer that straight away. And given that you've just come out of a relationship which you have termed abusive, I don't think that's what I'd want to jump straight into. I think there's a lot of vulnerability there that I wouldn't necessarily want to be open to. But she will make that decision and we will see where it goes. Okay, that's, I think, everything I have for you right now. I will try and get those screenshots in to make everything a little bit clearer, but I just wanted to go by the notes because otherwise I was going to forget what happened. If I missed anything, I do apologize. I'm just trying to keep up like everyone else. Oh, she did also get like a care package for an early birthday present that she opened on stream, and just a lot of chatting and the normal stuff for eating on camera and that kind of stuff. So nothing I felt worth a huge note, but again, if I've missed anything, I apologize. Okay, thank you so much for listening. I will see you again soon, and I suppose we'll see what happens next in the office hours of Foodie Beauty. This business thing, you guys. Oh, it's gonna come back to bite her so hard. It's gonna come back to bite her so hard. How could it not? So I will see you soon anyway. Bye-bye.